back when the UFC still used to care. What those booklets are exactly, what is written in them, why they were so cool, and why they should be brought back in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
So I was at home thinking about how I can make this room look cooler. I always try to improve that room. And then I somehow just stumbled upon those booklets that I had at home. I once got them, I think, in the mystery box. There's a video to that. I think they were all from the mystery box as far as I remember. And then I never really looked at them. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can put some sites on the wall or something. So I looked into them. I didn't even realize what they really are.
What the is that?
And then I realized, like, hey, those are actually booklets that the UFC fans used to get when they attended the UFC events. So here, for example, UFC Fight Night Stockholm. Then we have UFC Fight Night London. Here we have UFC Dublin and so on. This is also UFC London. So they just sent me the European things, but I am pretty sure that also existed for the American cards, right? Maybe in a smaller version, whatever, but back in the day when you went to UFC event, at least in the good seats, maybe not in the nosebleeds, you got one of those booklets that was very nicely made. And once you look into them, you realize those were absolutely magic, especially for people who attend the UFC events who are not hardcore fans, which most of the people attending UFC events, you have to see, are people that every now and then watch an MMA event. Try, if you're a hardcore fan, and be honest with yourself, if you're really a hardcore fan, ask your friends that claim to be MMA fans questions like, hey, under the unified rules, I don't know, what is allowed, is this allowed? Like all those detailed questions, and you will quickly realize they are still kind of casuals. They watch the sport, but they're not hardcore fans. They don't know everything about the sport, which is totally fine. But with those booklets, which I'll show you in a second, those people really got help before the fights to get all the information they need. Because first of all, it starts off, all those booklets start off with a little message from Dana White, where Dana says a couple of words. Of course, probably his assistant wrote it, but it shows you that they put attention into this. It's always a message dedicated to that specific card, which is really cool. This is a Stockholm one, for example. Then you see the card, right? The card that is about to happen. You have all the fights here, so you always know which one is next. You know which division, you know how many rounds, all of that. Then on the next one, and those are all similar in the build-up, I can show you in a second, you have rules and regulations, just general information. In some of them you have the weight classes that exist, how much you have to weigh in each weight class with the 1 pound extra weight for non-title fights, this and that, how many rounds, how the fights are scored. Like the rules are in here, everything that you would like to know if you're not a hardcore, even for a hardcore MMA fan, sometimes there's interesting things in it. Like the rules are really interesting to read, because some of them you might never heard before. And then after the rules, and as I can show you here, most of them are the same, right? Here as well, this is exactly the same actually. There's a betting preview in this one. I think in this one was it, in the Verdun Volkov one, there was a different one. Yeah, here's some more rules, some different rules about the split decision and all of that. Like really here, that's what I was searching for, the fight styles, like explaining the different fight styles that exist for MMA fights, right? Just like, there was so much attention to detail and just, at least for me, very interesting knowledge. And here, this was a card on the 25th anniversary of the UFC, right? So you have the whole history of the UFC written down here with the timeline of it. You see, really beautifully made with a lot of attention that went into that one. Like really nicely made. And I think a lot of other fans appreciate that. And what's even, in my opinion, what's the best for fans in attendance who can read this is, especially for people who are not crazy hardcore fans, you have for every single fighter from the prelims to the main card, you have 2 sites dedicated to them where you see who they are, where they come from, what their strengths are, their age, the region, everything you need to know about this fight before you watch this fight, you have in here. So especially for the not so famous fighters, for the prelim fighters, maybe there's, you see here, Leon Edwards was on the, I think it was on the prelims here. You probably did not know about him back then when you went to watch the fight, and you could actually read something about him like, hey, let's watch that kid. You know what I mean? You already knew who you were watching, and you were able to really pay attention to the fights and like see, he's a striker, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, Peter Sabota, right? Even the ring girls, look at that. Even the ring girls had some attention here in this booklet.
I want to fuck.
Really, really nicely made, and especially as well, if you've ever been to a UFC fight, you probably know that feeling between the fights. There's always like 15 minutes where there's nothing happening. You don't want to wait in the queue to get another beer or something. You don't need to go to the toilet. Maybe you're not even there with a friend. I often go alone. Like, what are you doing? You're just on your phone. There's bad Wi-Fi, or you have nothing to do. And with that, you have something to read in the meantime. You're like, hey, okay. Even for me, I'm a hardcore UFC fan, but maybe I do not know much about a certain prelim fighter who comes in on short notice, or maybe won a Contender Series fight 2 years ago. I can read a little bit about him. You know what I mean? Like, that's good for everyone. There's like, everyone gets a piece of knowledge, a piece of cool information. Like, that is so nicely made, look at that. And that was in every single of those booklets. So when you went to the fights, especially if you were not a hardcore fan, you really got an understanding for the sport, for the fighters you were watching, and you could really enjoy the whole experience, in my opinion. So I don't know when they abolished them. I understand, yeah, now everything is digital, those informations are provided on Instagram to a certain extent, whatever. But you cannot tell me that this would not be freaking great to still have. And don't tell me it costs too much or something to do them. It doesn't have to be that big either. It can just be a smaller booklet.
It's so big.
I really value those things, and I do think most MMA fans really value things like that. And if the UFC will continue to do that, I do think that the law for the sport from the people who attend the events and the appreciation as well from the fans who attend the events would go up significantly. And I do think they have nothing to lose other than a little bit of more spending on the marketing budget with bringing those things back. I absolutely love them, and I'm probably gonna put some sites on the walls here, and maybe you'll see in a couple of videos how the end result looks. But write in the comments, what do you think about those booklets? Do you miss them? Have you ever been to an event where they were handed out to you? Write in the comments, you guys. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate that a lot. Check out my merch, bloodsport.net, worldwide free shipping when you enter the code FREE at checkout. The link is in the bio. Check it out, you guys. Stay bloody, and until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.